Welcome to another episode of the Leadership Lounge. We are today here with Mr. Andrew Soren, who is a leadership coach, consultant, and a senior advisor in leadership development at the Bank of Montreal in Toronto. Andrew, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're happy to have you here because we want to talk about a topic that's really important. You know, we are faced with stress, adversity, and challenge almost on a daily basis in our work lives today. So the topic on the table is resilience. Andrew, what does resilience mean? And are we born with it or can it be learned?
It's a really great question and a complicated one to answer because I think resilience means so many different things to so many different people. And I think one of the things that I'm so interested in terms of the topic of resilience is what do the people who've studied the topic for decades have to say about it? And for them, resilience in and of itself is a very specific thing. And my favorite short definition of resilience is the ability to bounce back better. And there's a couple really, I think, really important things in there that is critical. And you named it right off the bat in terms of is it something that we're born with or is it something that we all have the potential to grow into? And all of the work in resilience really points to there's some really fundamental concrete skills that each one of us can build and grow over time to be able to make us more resilient people. There's this fundamental ordinary magic that all of us already possess, but that if we work hard on over time, we can get better at.
Okay. Oh, I love that. There's this ordinary magic that we already possess. So what is this ordinary magic? What are the elements of this ordinary magic that we can work at to really increase this muscle of resilience in the workplace?
Yeah, great. So there's these researchers out of the University of Pennsylvania predominantly who've done an enormous work on trying to figure out what are the factors of resilience. And they have this great book that's called The Resilience Factors. Okay. And they go through about 6 or 7 different factors, different skills that people who are seemingly really resilient, who seemingly possess this ordinary magic, what is it that they have that sets them apart from everybody else? And there are things like our capacity for emotional regulation, just the way in which we're able to notice that an emotion is hitting us and recognize that in this moment we might be feeling sad or angry or withdrawn or even happy, and that moment's just going to last a second or a minute, and there's going to be something else in a few minutes. So it's really the capacity to ride the wave of emotions would be one of the factors. Another one would be our capacity for impulse control, or another way of saying that could be self-regulation. The way in which we stop ourselves from action, the way that we just hold back, take that breath, and recognize that, you know, I'm in the midst of an emotion right now. I need to stop and take a break before I actually do something or act, or even commit to that thought that I'm thinking right now.
Okay.
Other ones.
Andrew, yeah, that was fantastic. I love it. And we want to get more into the factors. Yeah. But the one that you just mentioned, it's so much easier said than done, right? You're really saying, why don't we react instead of act? And in the moment when you feel fire, you just got an email from a coworker, that micromanaging boss has come to your desk again. Yeah. What advice do you have on actually reacting instead of just acting in the moment? What can we do?
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot that you can do, and sometimes it's as simple as just being able to take a breath.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like I'm a big practicer of yoga, and even though there is a lot of research about actually the effects of yoga and resilience and meditation and mindfulness and all of that, the thing that I love so much about yoga is its capacity to help you just breathe, to remember that sometimes when it comes to impulse control or self-regulation, it's just about taking yourself out of that millisecond, out of that heat of the moment thought that you're having. And really, if I boil down so much of the work on resilience down to a single phrase, it's the way that I think changes the way that I act and how I feel. And that if I can start to shift the way that I think about things, if I can start to really listen to that voice or all of the voices that are in our heads constantly telling us great things and telling us horribly sabotaging things, if I can start to piece apart those voices in our head, listen to the ticker tape thoughts, and then start to potentially just challenge those thoughts to understand what are those thoughts actually telling me, what's real, what's not real, how can I be my own PR agent or lawyer and start to actually debate some of those thoughts. It's that act that I think can really help in terms of creating the space for self-control.
Okay. Many of us don't work in silos alone in an office, never, interacting with others. Often we have teams, and many of us are managing teams. So, what's your advice? What are ways we can actually train our employees and our teams on building resilience and really inviting resilience into our team environments?
Hmm. Yeah, there's actually so much research that says that probably the most significant resilience factor of all is our capacity to just be with others. Other people matter. When it comes to resilience, when it comes to well being, when it comes to even happiness, we underplay the importance of other people in being able to help us through all of life's challenges and also all of life's joys. And I would say that if there's one bottom line takeaway, it's that other people really do matter. And so our capacity to be able to build social networks, and when I say social networks, I literally mean the networks of people that are around us who are providing social support, our capacity for empathy, our capacity to ultimately understand what's going on for the other, to really connect, and to be able to help them through even just if that's being a good listener, our capacity to ask the right questions and just really be listening for others. When we do that for others, we help them be more resilient. And actually, the act of doing that and being there for others, the act of being able to create community and support around ourselves makes each one of us more resilient ourselves.
That's awesome. So, by practicing resilience, we're also modeling it for others, right?
Absolutely.
It's a win-win for everybody. Last question for you,
Sure.
Andrew. Knowing what you know now about resilience, if you could go back in time and change your reaction to something that's happened in your life, how would you handle it differently?
Sure. I think that the thing that I would probably change is my capacity to the capacity to think about potentially future events and or even the involvement that I have in terms of the world around me, and think about really carefully my capacity to be successful. One of the other resilience factors that are often talked about is this notion of self-efficacy. And self-efficacy is really a fancy word for just talking about confidence in yourself. Think Thomas the Tank, and Thomas the Tank climbing up that hill and thinking, "I think I can, I think I can, I think I can." That notion of confidence, that notion of self-efficacy, I think is a huge contributor to one's overall success and certainly one's resilience. And when I think about my own career and my own life, the times when I feel like I've been most successful are the times when I believed in myself the most. And so if I was to change one thing about myself, I think that it would be to look back in those moments when I have had the most doubt, and to look around and look for those real triggers of efficacy. Things like, what's the evidence that shows me, that proves to me that I've actually done small things that are just kind of like the thing that I'm doing. Not necessarily the big, giant, hairy, audacious goal, but the actual small little steps that be able to get there. Or who can I listen to? Who can I let be the person who whispers in my ear to tell me not that I can't do it, but that I can? And how can I find more of those people to surround myself with? How can I celebrate the small wins and even the little failures along the way, and see that these are all great little opportunities to grow, and that I have the skills and confidence to be able to get there.
Awesome. So it's, really kind of giving yourself a pep talk and noticing, using the support systems that you have around you, whether that is evidence of success in the past or pulling from mentors and people, the cheerleaders around you, using them, right? Using their energy to remind you that, yeah, I got this.
Got it.
Fantastic. Andrew, thank you so much for this deep dive into what is resilience, how it can help us build this muscle of resilience, and really the benefits of being more resilient in the workplace. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Tony.